Everybody, it's Susan. Welcome back to Authentic Conversations, and a super welcome back to our guest Chrysanthe, who is here to talk to us about Taurus season. Astrologically, we're paying closer attention to the signs that the stars and the cosmos are giving us. So we feel very fortunate to have Chrysanthe with us, and thank you. Let's go with Taurus.
Yes, so thank you so much for having me again. And yes, this is very exciting. So we have moved into Taurus season officially, and we're going to be noticing that this energy is very different from what we've experienced last few weeks. Last few weeks were jam-packed with Aries energy. So we're thinking direct, fire, at times impulsive, at times it can feel a bit reckless, spontaneous, intense. Now we're moving into an earth sign. So we're looking at different themes that we're going to spend some time talking about. First, I wanted to.
How long, Chrysanthe? So I know that the eclipse, right, was in Aries season, and I mean that was a lot of chaos and a lot of intensity. How long does it take till the beginning of Taurus season for the body to readjust? Is that kind of how it works?
So because this particular Aries season was so filled with fire energy because we had Mercury retrograde, which was in Aries. We had, in general, Aries season, which again is that Aries energy. And then the eclipse was in Aries as well. So we had all, and not to mention the different phases of the moon and the intensities that can bring. So we had so much Aries energy. So essentially, if we look at it from a clean cut way, we're like, okay, we're starting Taurus season. That fire is starting to simmer down a bit. We're moving into earth, but it's also very personal. So as an individual, if I feel like I'm still being influenced, or I still feel some of that fiery energy, that's okay. Nothing has gone wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. It may sound cliche, but however much time you need as an individual to start to feel that shift to more earthy energy, stability, groundedness. What I would recommend, however, is to not allow ourselves to stay in a place longer than need be. So it's a balancing act from understanding like, okay, I felt the intensity of this fiery energy, and also recognizing that's okay, and I felt that intensity, but I don't necessarily need to hold on to it if I don't want to. Like this, an energy doesn't have to overstay its welcome.
So we don't have to get stuck in it. We don't have to
We
get stuck there.
we don't have to get stuck in it. Now, in the logical sense, we're moving into Taurus season, so we will probably see that Taurian energy, those Taurian vibes in our everyday lives and internally as well, because we tend to reflect those cosmic energies. And so that's just to say, if there's anyone out there that still is feeling some of that Aries fire, that's okay. And that's just a reminder that while we were just in all this heat, so yeah, it might take a little bit of time to cool down from that. Even if we are in a different astrological season, that's okay.
All right. So yeah, so give us more give us more Taurian energy. What is it?
Yes. So Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus is represented by the bull. So when we think about the story of the zodiac, we start off with the first sign of the zodiac being Aries, being that fire. And we were talking about this last time, that Aries represents that childlike playfulness, this pioneering spirit. But in the story of the zodiac, we start off with this spark, which is Aries. And as time goes on, this spark starts to realize I need a body to ground myself in order to exist and to be on earth. Because as much fire and zest and passion and ideas I may have, if I don't have a vessel, a physical vessel to ground myself, what can I really get done? And just thinking about Earth being a planet of material possessions and being a planet where we are surrounded by physical matter. And as connected as we are to the spiritual world, and as much as we are, spiritual beings, we also do have this physical vessel. We do have physical matter that's constantly surrounding us that we're affected by.
Sure, we talk about it, we have to live an earthly existence. So as much as we understand energy, we still have to have a body and a place to go and things to accomplish here on Earth. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
get it. Got it.
So now, as we're moving into Taurus season, we're thinking about the physical vessel. We're thinking about, how can I take care of my body a little bit more? What are some self care practices I need? Because the more that I can ground myself in my body, the better I can feel in my physical body. That's going to affect my state of mind. That's going to affect my spiritual health. These things are not separate. And oftentimes it can be easy to think of spiritual life, emotional life, physical health as these separate categories. And although they are very unique in their own ways, there's an intertwining of them as well. And it's not as clear cut as putting them in these separate boxes. So, in the story of the zodiac, when Aries the spark realizes that there's this need to have a body, that's where we move into Taurus season. So, in Taurus season, we are being um in a sense, I don't want to say ruled by our body, but we're very aware that we have a physical body and we're thinking about our senses. Taurus is a very sensual energy. It's an energy that is aware of different sights, sounds, tastes, sense, what we can feel with our physical body. So during this time, it may be helpful to really enhance some of that. So, for example, it can be something as simple as noticing, like, I really would like this particular blanket because it feels really nice. It's fluffy. It feels soft. It makes me feel good. Allowing yourself to purchase that. Taurus also rules finances and material possessions. So thinking about, oh, maybe there's a particular perfume that you enjoy and you allow yourself to purchase it now. You allow yourself to maybe splurge in a way that you may have restricted yourself in another season or before. Taurus is interested in the taste. So, when you're eating your food, truly taking the time to take in what you're eating and being really mindful of that present moment, not trying to think ahead too much and rushing and thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go do this afterwards and this happened before, but really dedicating a few minutes, moments, whatever it is, being present with your food, taking the time to take in that earth energy. Regardless of whatever it is we're eating, it's coming from the earth in some way. And Taurian energy ruling the earth is reminding us of the power of our physical vessel. And alongside that, the importance of fueling our vessel. So we can fuel it by food, we can fuel our vessel through breath, we can fuel our vessel through pleasure, through fun. And oftentimes we have this fun through our senses. So we want to think of ways to engage the senses during this time, and it can be in the most simple yet magical of ways. It can be allowing yourself to sit outside and feel the warmth of the sun
Oh, I
when
love that.
perhaps, yeah, when perhaps maybe at another time you would be thinking, I don't have time for that. And it might feel like you don't have time for that, but maybe you can dedicate 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. Your body will thank you for it and you'll feel better in the long run. And all of this is, of course, contributing to spiritual, mental health, emotional health. So,
So the
step one.
senses, right? Pay
Mhm.
attention to pleasuring the senses, things that you want to see things that are appealing to, you want to listen to things that make you feel good, you want to taste things, smell things, touch things. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes,
Earthly existence through the senses. Yeah.
yeah. And Taurus is also ruled by Venus. So it's a Venetian energy. And Venetian energy is all about fun. It's about pleasure. It's about ease. It's about it's about love and expressing that love. And we can express so much love in, in those moments when we are eating, or maybe we are cooking for ourselves or people that we care about. Maybe we're eating out and we're really feeling gratitude as we're tipping the waiter, paying for our food. It's all about being more mindful as we move about the material world, and to start to adjust our thoughts so that we can see it not so much as a burden or something we have to do, but rather something we get to do. So,
Mm,
a very simple practice when we're thinking about, let's say, food, for example. If I'm eating out at a restaurant and my thought right away is like, oh, I don't want to tip too much, or I don't want to spend so much, or like, look at me, I'm eating out again. Can we flip the script on this a little bit? Can we adjust it? Can we start to redirect our thoughts and instead put it in a more pleasurable perspective, and
yeah.
start to think, I'm grateful that I get to eat out. I appreciate everyone that contributed for this meal. I'm grateful that I'm able to contribute for this tip, whatever it might be.
Yes.
So starting to do that, we can do the same thing if we're cooking at home. Instead of seeing it so much as a burden, being grateful that we have the food that we need in order to cook, that we have the time, however little or long it might be. We have that time to some capacity, to some degree. We have it. So using it and being more mindful. Taurus energy is also very in the moment. So when we think about a bull, or just even thinking about, let's say, a cow, for example, grazing, they're not in a rush, able to be present, taking time to soak in that present moment. So we want to try to embody this mindfulness, being aware of our time, being aware of if we are rushing or being impulsive in some way, because we've moved out of that fiery impulsiveness, right? So we're moving into a more grounded, stable time. And when we're engaging our senses and honoring our senses and appreciating those senses, we want to really do so in a way that we can remember and we can focus on the gratitude. And that is just going to enhance the experience so much more.
Well, gratitude is always key in your awareness and your sense of appreciation and noticing all the things that are working for you, right? So we have to be grateful for all of the little things in order to manifest or create bigger things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
I love when you said, like, flip the script or, change the narrative about, how you're viewing your life.
Yes. Yes. I think that so often, we get to do all these things, but because of the way we've been conditioned, we start to see it more as a burden. And in some cases, yes, daily tasks can feel overwhelming in some cases, but Taurus season gives us the opportunity to start to shift our perspective a bit and to start to see it as though, oh, I'm grateful I get to do this, and really being more mindful and in the present moment.
Yeah. Can we go a little more global in Taurus season and a little more global or a little deeper into the astrology behind it? So something is happening with Jupiter and Uranus right now.
Yes. So there's a lot of intense energy. When we think about these two planets, though, for example, when we're thinking about Jupiter, Jupiter is the sign of good luck. Jupiter, I'm sorry, embodies good luck.
Love it.
Jupiter embodies abundance. Even when you think about the planet Jupiter, we think about Jupiter as being, very jovial and large, and like larger than life. So it's a very joyful planet. Uranus is a very unique energy. So Uranus and Aquarius energy go hand in hand. So Uranus can be eclectic, can be unique, an independent thinker, just kind of like marching to its own drumbeat. So when you have these two energies interacting, the theme that we're going to be thinking of is authenticity, right? So if we're combining good luck, abundance, and being an independent thinker, humanitarian in many ways, we're thinking about How can I be more authentic in my perspectives, in my viewpoints, without, holding back so much about what's important to me and what my beliefs are?
Well, I think that this is so perfect. I mean, this is authentic conversations after all.
Yes.
And really, what we're talking about is, right, not holding back, not holding back. So these energies have come together during this time in Taurus, to show us what, Chrysanthe, like what does this celestial energy want us to see or know?
So for one thing, when we're thinking, especially in Taurus season and coming out of that really fiery Aries season, we want to integrate. So we've had all of these thoughts, passions, ideas, maybe frustrations, whatever it may have been during Aries season, confusion perhaps. Now it's our time to go slow and to integrate. And with that integration, how can we develop our voice more? Because soon after, we're going to be moving into Gemini season, which rules communication. So, right now, as we are integrating, we're being more mindful, we're aware of our senses, we're thinking about what it means to be more authentic and true to our heart. If we have a question, asking the question and not becoming so um just enveloped in this fear of how will I look, how will I sound. If you have a question and you've taken some time to be patient with yourself and making sure that it's genuine and not coming from a place of being impulsive with that question, if you've taken that time, ask the question. If
Yes.
you've taken time to, and by time, this could be something overnight, this could be a few minutes, this could be an hour, like it depends on the individual. But we want to start to notice, okay, before I may have been feeling some of that impulsiveness, now because I'm integrating, I'm aware of how I feel and questioning myself, okay, is this something that I really want to bring up? Is this something I really want to involve myself in deeper? And if the answer is yes, and you've taken a few moments or whatever it may be to integrate, go for it. Because that's part of being authentic, not second guessing ourselves so much. Being aware is one thing. Being aware, not, it's there has to be a balance, because sometimes, and especially Aries season has taught us this impulsive energy can make you think you have to do this right now. If you don't, it's like this sense of urgency.
Right.
Taurus grounds us and reminds us all is well. There's actually nothing to be so urgent about.
Right.
At the same time, own who you are, right? The bull is not hiding himself, right? So the bull is large and beautiful and bold.
Well, and I
So
think, to go to your point, right? We don't know what we don't know until we ask, and then we do know, right?
yeah,
So we can guess, or, but in order to move forward, right? Get the answers that you need from the places that are reliable and relatable.
yes, exactly. And I think also with so Mercury tomorrow, April 25th, Mercury is coming out of retrograde. So we do have a bit of a shadow period, which is basically it's approximately like 2 weeks where, we might still feel some of those lingering Mercury retrograde feelings. However, technically Mercury retrograde will be ending. So this also really frees up a lot of energy, and it brings this more lightheartedness. And again, with Taurus being focused on being in the moment, integrating those emotions, Taurus being ruled by Venus, being a Venetian energy, very, has the potential to be very heart-centered, should we choose to use it in that way. As with anything, should we choose to use it in that way. So we can start to consider, like, how am I feeling? Is this feeling, honest and reflective of how I really feel, or is this a false sense of urgency? If it is, let me engage in self care practices to help to soothe myself so I'm not feeling
Yes.
as urgent. And Taurus is all about self soothing. So let me soothe myself. Then once I soothe myself, I'll evaluate my emotions from there. If I'm not in a sense of urgency, and in this moment I feel like, I really do want to reach out about this. I want to ask this question. I want to state my opinion on this. I want to make a plan about this other thing. Then go for it, because that's being authentic and true to yourself. And we can only reap benefits when we're doing that, when we're being true and authentic to ourselves. So Taurus is teaching us not to hide, to be bold, to take our time, integrate, and to self soothe, engage in self care practices. That's going to be key.
Mhm. And I love it. So Aries is the spark, Taurus is the preparation, and coming next is Gemini, which is going to allow us to speak our truth. The time
Yes.
we spend right now in Taurus season is really redefining what it is that we need to look at, and paying attention to how we see it, how we hear it, how it makes us feel.
Yes.
S-
Be- yes, because eventually when we do move into Gemini season, so Gemini rules the throat chakra. Gemini rules communication. We want to
That's
make
so funny. Hold on, pause that,
yeah.
because the
Mhm.
image that I got when you were talking about that was like the spark is like creation, right? It's like the crown, the inward looking and noticing and how are you feeling, right? So if we're running the chakras downward, we really are paying attention to the light, the spark, the introspective noticing piece, and then the speaking of the truth. I love that.
Yes, yes. Um, so when we are thinking about that time, time where communication is really highlighted, and when we're thinking about Gemini season, as we lead up to it, we want to make sure, like you said, that we are prepared to communicate, because we don't want to just to talk. We want to make sure that when we're speaking, we've given it thought, we're being respectful, we're being authentic, we're being true to what we're saying. How do we do that if we're not taking care of ourselves? So
That's right.
Taurus season is really giving us that grounding, that nourishment. And even though we're in the spring season, I really like to think about it like you have a really warm stew filled with nourishing root vegetables. And if you can think about a time that you've maybe come home after a long day and you have something warm, and it just really brings like a special nourishment to you physically, emotionally, mentally after your day. Taurus season is like that warm bowl of stew. And even though it's during the springtime, it's very much giving us that internal and external nourishment that we need. So once we're feeling better, once we are engaged in these self care, self soothing practices, we're going to be in a better state of mind, so that when we are stepping into our communication, whether it be during Gemini season or before then, when we're having these important conversations, when we're teaching others, when we're sharing our knowledge, whatever it might be, we can make sure that we're doing so from a more aligned place, so that our words can hold more weight, have more value, and we're not just talking just to talk.
Mhm.
And Taurus is really going to help us with that.
Yep. Preparation. So Taurus is preparing, it's preparing for what's next. It's preparing for the great reveal. And the great reveal is about what it is that you're creating inside of you.
Yeah.
What's important to you becomes what's important, to speak about, to speak into reality, so to
Yeah.
to speak into reality. So
Yes.
what else do our listeners need to know about the next 30 days?
Well,
20.
I think, yeah, I also want to add into that with Taurus season, thinking about our finances as well, and just in general, becoming more organized. So Taurus itself doesn't necessarily rule organization. However, it being an earth energy, it's a really ideal time to become more organized, whether that be at home, at work, in our personal lives in some way, whatever it is. We want to make sure that and this all goes with the theme of preparation, that we're properly prepared, that we feel like, okay, I've taken care of some things on my to-do list just as much as I've had fun, because I know when I'm taking care of those more practical earthly matters, I can have more fun then and I can enjoy myself more because it's not like looming over my head. Um, Taurus also rules material possessions. Uh, so we're thinking, we can be thinking finances. We can also be thinking about that which we literally own.
Mhm.
So perhaps during this time, and this might not be the case for everyone, but we have that time of like spring cleaning. We might start to consider, what do I really want to, hold on to?
Yeah.
And in that way, organizing, and versus what is not actually really causing me joy and I've just been holding on to it, and maybe letting that go.
Mhm.
On the flip side of that, thinking, what would I really like to have, or maybe that I already have that I want to appreciate more, or maybe something that I'd really like to have, this thing, and I'm going to allow myself to have it.
Yeah.
So it can go multiple ways and it really depends on the individual, but we're thinking about material possessions as well.
Okay.
So, yeah. So overall, just keeping in mind that we've come out of this really fiery season. Mercury retrograde is subsiding. The shadow period will soon be over, but even in the shadow period, there's nothing to fear. It's all perfect and truly all is well. We are now in this season where we're thinking about the groundedness, the stability. We are preparing. But I also feel like we're just taking a collective deep breath in and
Mm.
just letting it go. I think with all of that fire and all of those activities that may have been going on and thoughts that may have been racing, and maybe even possibly some fears that were misconstrued about the season, about Aries season, taking that time now to really like unwind, integrate what we've learned, setting, oh, that's another thing I want to say, setting our seeds and our intentions for this new season, right? So we're in springtime.
Right.
How can we start to, really move towards what it is that we want?
What are you
So planting
cultivating?
our
What are you
seeds.
growing? How are you taking care of yourself? What are you asking for? How are you asking for it? Yeah.
Yes. And we will truly like it might sound obvious, but truly when we are taking care of ourselves, when we are reaching for thoughts and feelings and activities that make us feel better, and all of those are related,
Mhm.
we're going to really start to see that naturally some of the thoughts and feelings that may have been like bogging us down, weighing us down, it sheds off, right? So it's kind of like if you think about a cork, if you are pushing the cork underwater, that cork is going to be, it's meeting with resistance, right? So you're pushing the cork underwater with your thoughts and feelings and not properly taking care of yourself, and then judging yourself for not being more productive or not being this or not being that. That cork naturally wants to float. It's in its nature to float. But when we have all these thoughts and feelings and actions that push it down, we're in a state of resistance. Taurus season is asking you to take that deep breath, to sigh, to feel that relief. Start to let some of those fears and judgments and, not taking care of ourselves, like just let it fade away. And you'll start to see that your cork naturally knows how to float. There's nothing that you have to even instruct it because it's in your nature. It's
You'll
in your nature to
rise.
do.
If you stop weighing yourself down, you are bound to rise.
Exactly,
Born to
exactly.
rise. You are born to rise. Yeah.
Yes. And as you have, and as you are rising, you start to see that you will get ideas and you will get just certain nudges, these nudges that the universe gives us, and
Mhm.
there'll be a lot more clarity. So this season's going to bring lightheartedness, sweetness, clarity. We've done a lot of work. We'll continue to prepare, but infused with that, we're going to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves better. And we're not going to just leave those lessons in this season. We're going to carry that on to the next one and the next one.
It all
And
builds. It
keeps
all
getting
builds
better
on
and
the
better.
foundation. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So our foundation was a spark, which we know in the universe that the foundation was a spark, right? We got some Big Bang Theory. There it is. It starts with a spark. And, so now we continue to progress. Chrysanthe, thank you so much. I love your insights and your ability to share with us your passion. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I look forward to getting together again and, seeing what lies ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it's going to be a great season. We're going to make it great. So I'm excited for the next one.
Awesome. See you soon.
See you soon.